The sun was shining brightly as the drone flew over the old field system. Derek had been saving for a year and he could finally afford it. So once he got the package, he took it out for a spin immediately. As the drone flew over the field, Derek was amazed by how far he could go and how much he could see. But then he spotted something a bit further that captured his interest. But when he decided to fly closer, he regretted it immediately. Sam couldn't believe his eyes. How could this happen without anyone knowing? He knew he had to do something about this, or it could end very badly. But just as he was about to retrieve his drone, it was shot out of the sky. The sound of gunshots echoed the deserted mountains. Sam quickly packed up his gear and drove away from the facility as fast as he could. He knew he had to get as far away as possible before the guards discovered his car. His heart pounded in his chest as he drove, his mind racing with the footage he had just captured. But what did Sam capture with his drone? What kind of corporation was he investigating? And what is he going to do with the footage? But before we start, smash the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our upcoming stories. Sam was an investigative journalist, and his drone was his secret weapon. He used it to capture what nobody was allowed to see. So when Sam had been investigating a corporation that had a shady reputation for years, and his investigation hit a dead end, he knew what to do. Sam was determined to expose them to the world, but he needed solid evidence. That's when he decided to use his drone. The corporation was very hard to find. It was tucked away behind a few mountains, and if you wanted to reach it by car, you needed a 4x4 because of the bumpy track. Gates with barbed wire surrounded the facility, and nobody was allowed to enter without permission. But Sam's drone could fly over the compound undetected. He equipped his drone with a high-quality camera and a microphone to capture everything he saw and heard. As the sun began to set, Sam knew it was time to fly his drone over the facility. So he drove through the mountains until the road stopped. Then he turned off his lights and slowly moved his car a bit closer to the barbed wire fence. The facility had 24/7 security. 2 armed guards stood by the entrance of the gate, and there were cameras at every corner of the fence. So Sam had to be really careful not to be seen. Sam waited for a few hours, not sure when the best time would be to fly his drone, but he knew he would recognize the perfect opportunity when it happened. All of a sudden, one of the guards left, and the other guard took out his phone. He opened the door of his car as quietly as he could and placed the drone on the ground. Then, he got back inside his car and turned on the drone. After that, he turned on the camera and checked if everything worked. He let the drone hover over his car for a bit to be sure everything worked. Then he flew the drone away from the facility. He knew the guards would hear his drone if he were to fly directly over them. As the drone hovered over the compound, Sam watched the live feed on his laptop. He had to hurry up a bit as barely any sunlight was left. He flew his drone further and further but hadn't seen anything suspicious yet. He let his drone hover in the sky and snapped some photos to go along with his video evidence. The sound of gunshots echoed through the deserted mountains. Sam frantically tried to get his drone back to him, but there was nothing he could do. Suddenly, his screen twitched, and he watched his drone fall to the ground. The camera broke as the drone hit the ground, but the microphone was still working. Sam felt his stomach drop. He had worked so hard to get this footage, and now it could be for nothing. Because as long as the drone was on, he could download the footage onto his laptop. The download bar loaded, and in the meantime, Sam listened to what the men were saying. The camera was broken, so he couldn't see their faces, but he could hear them speak. Sam made out something about their boss not being happy with a drone infiltrating their facility. And just as the download bar was at 100%, the drone shut down. He had to get out of there as fast as he could because it would only be a matter of time until the guards at the gate were informed about the drone. Sam quickly packed up his gear and drove away from the facility as fast as he could. He knew he had to get as far away as possible before the guards discovered his car. When he was finally far enough away, he pulled over to a quiet spot and watched the footage on his laptop. It was even worse than he had expected. He needed the perfect plan to show this to the world. Also, he couldn't risk the corporation finding out who had leaked the information. Who knew what they would do to him if they figured out he was the one who pulled a stop to their organization? He contacted a trusted colleague who had connections with a reputable news organization. Together, they decided to approach the story with caution and gather more evidence before going public. Over the next few months, Sam and his colleague worked tirelessly to gather more information about the corporation. They conducted interviews with former employees, whistleblowers, and other sources. Finally, they felt they had enough evidence to present to the news organization. Sam and his colleague arranged a meeting with the editors and proudly presented their findings. The editors were impressed with their work and agreed to run the story as soon as possible. The morning after Sam's meeting with the editor started out in a very peculiar way. As always, Sam had set his alarm at 7, but today, Sam was woken up by a different alarm. In a second, he went from sleeping to sitting straight up in bed as he woke up to a loud banging on his front door. Before he could even get up or realize what was happening, the door was busted off its hinges, and armed men raided his home. They grabbed Sam by the arms, put a bag over his head, and forcefully brought him to a car. Sam's senses were overwhelmed by the stark contrast from his warm home to the biting cold of the room. A metallic scent filled his nostrils, maybe the smell of old pipes or rusted chains. The steady sound of dripping water echoed off the walls, providing a bleak metronome to his escalating heartbeat. Sam found himself confronted by an ominous presence demanding answers about footage he had seen. A threatening voice pressed him, offering a choice between compliance and resistance, but their interrogation was interrupted by the authoritative Mr. Grayson. Grayson, exuding power and arrogance, claimed Sam had something of his and boasted about his corporation's vast, secretive operations. Despite the danger, Sam challenged Grayson's evasive justifications and insisted that the truth would inevitably come to light, even as Grayson mocked his resolve. The tension underscored the stakes of the confrontation, with secrecy and danger looming large. As the sound of Grayson's footsteps faded, Sam's thoughts raced. How did he end up here? All he wanted was to unveil the truth. But was this the price he had to pay? The memories flooded back. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, young Sam sat in his college dorm, surrounded by newspapers and investigative magazines. His passion was clear. Journalism was not just a job, it was a calling. He believed in the power of words and the impact of the truth. After the footage's mysterious appearance, the newsroom was a tornado of chaos. Reporters rushed about, editors shouted, phones rang incessantly. What's the source? The cacophony of questions was endless. Everyone was grappling with the implications of the footage and the fear of retaliation. Amidst the pandemonium, Alice sat eerily calm. A dedicated journalist on the surface, she typed away at her desk, her eyes darting around suspiciously. Few knew the weight of the secret she harbored. In a dimly lit room, agents sat around a large table. The footage played, its revelations leaving the room heavy with tension. "We need to act," stated Special Agent Thompson decisively. "This is bigger than we thought." All agents nodded in agreement, knowing the path ahead was fraught with danger. Agent Mitchell was no rookie to the field. He had a reputation for his dedication to environmental crimes. He'd seen corporations pollute waters, destroy habitats, and displace communities. He believed in the sanctity of the environment and was determined to hold those accountable who sought to harm it. Inside the Bureau's headquarters, agents huddled around a massive table littered with maps and dossiers. Mitchell took the lead, laying out potential infiltration points and associated risks. Every agent present understood the gravity. They were not just saving Sam, but possibly exposing a massive environmental scandal. In the quiet of her apartment, Alice was haunted by her decisions. Flashbacks of clandestine meetings, envelopes of money, and promises of promotion plagued her mind. The corporation had once saved her family from financial ruin, creating a bond she found hard to break. A hushed phone call and Grayson's face turned a shade paler. "The FBI is onto us," he murmured to his confidantess. Immediately, the atmosphere in the hideout thickened with tension. Bound and isolated, Sam's thoughts spiraled into despair. Every minute felt like an hour, every hour like an eternity. The cold, the silence, the fear, it gnawed at his spirit. For the first time, he contemplated the reality that he might never leave this place. Late one night, a guard slipped Sam an extra blanket and a small note. "Not all of us agree with what's happening," it read. Over days, hushed whispers and stolen moments of kindness formed an unexpected bond between captive and captor. The guard, named Elias, once confessed to Sam during a rare quiet moment. He'd taken the job out of desperation, needing to feed his family. He had no idea of the depths the corporation would sink to. Now, entrapped in its web, he dreamt of a way out, a way to make amends. Confronting her reflection, Alice's turmoil was evident. Her alliance with the corporation, her betrayal of Sam, weighed heavy. She had to act. The urge to right her wrongs became overwhelming. With newfound determination, she decided to expose the corporation's secrets, even if it cost her everything. Under the guise of night, Alice met Agent Mitchell in a dimly lit parking garage. She handed over a USB containing crucial evidence and layout plans of the hideout. "Save him," she whispered, tears glistening. Mitchell, realizing the depth of her involvement and remorse, nodded firmly, "We will." The Bureau was abuzz. Armed agents prepped gear, comms were tested, and vehicles were readied. Mitchell, holding the intel provided by Alice, briefed his team. Every agent's face reflected determination. The raid was imminent, and they were ready to bring the corporation down. The wind whispered secrets through the trees. An owl hooted in the distance. Inside the hideout, guards patrolled, unaware that their fortress was about to be stormed. Sam, sensing the impending action, took deep, steadying breaths, bracing himself. Under the cloak of darkness, FBI agents scaled walls and navigated entry points. As the first guard sounded the alarm, a hailstorm of bullets erupted. Agents moved with precision, taking down threats while protecting their own. Hearing the commotion, Sam seized the chance. Using a sharp piece of metal he had discreetly acquired from Elias, he began to pick at his cuffs. Sweat poured down his face as he worked against time. Explosions rocked the compound as agents pressed forward. Shouts, cries, and the sound of gunfire echoed in the night. Everywhere there was a flurry of movement as agents and corporation personnel clashed. Having freed himself, Sam activated a small device, given to him secretly by Elias. It connected him to Agent Mitchell. "North Wing," he whispered, guiding them to key points and alerting them to ambushes. Amidst the chaos, a major explosion took out the compound's power. Using night vision, the FBI gained the upper hand, systematically taking down adversaries and securing rooms. Grayson, watching his empire crumble, grew frantic. He rallied his remaining men, attempting a counterattack. Cornered in his personal chamber, Grayson, wild-eyed and defeated, was surrounded. Agent Mitchell approached, gun drawn. With nowhere to go, Grayson was cuffed and led away. Daybreak revealed the scale of the night's events. Agents tended to the wounded and began cataloging evidence. The hideout, once a symbol of fear, now stood as a testament to justice. As investigators delved deeper, they unearthed a vast network of illegal dumping sites, contaminating water sources across states. The evidence was damning, exposing the corporation's heinous environmental crimes, ensuring they would pay for their atrocities. Headlines screamed the injustices. Social media was ablaze with outrage. Protests erupted outside corporate headquarters. Shareholders distanced themselves as the company's stock plummeted. The nation demanded answers and accountability. Days turned into weeks. Sam's physical wounds began to heal, but nightmares plagued him. Counseling sessions, supportive friends, and introspection were his pillars as he grappled with the trauma. The courtroom was packed. Every day brought forth new evidence, whistleblowers, and testimonies revealing the depth of the corporation's depravity. Surprising all, Alice was called to the stand. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed her initial alliance, then her change of heart and the decision to leak the footage. She became the unexpected hero and traitor rolled into one. The gavel dropped, sealing Grayson's fate-life imprisonment. Other corporate members received varying sentences, but none escaped punishment. Justice, it seemed, had prevailed. Haunted by memories, Sam pondered his future. Would he dive back into investigative journalism or seek quieter shores? He recognized the risks but also the dire need for truth seekers. Armed with experience and a newfound resolve, Sam rejoined the journalistic fray. However, this time he ensured more layers of protection. Sam unveiled a state-of-the-art drone, equipped with stealth and surveillance capabilities. It represented a watchful guardian, a commitment to uncovering truths from shadows. In a quiet moment, Sam reflected, penning his thoughts. The journey was harrowing, but the mission remains clear. For every shadow cast, there's a light waiting to dispel it. My quest for truth is unending, and I'll always stand tall against the darkness. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another unbelievable tale like this one.